but I was headstrong. I was stubborn in the point that I wanted to get it. Whatever it was that you were giving, I wanted to get it.
Well, what the it is alignment with who you are. You were stubborn enough to get into the vortex. That it factor that everybody's talking about is alignment with your power, with your source, with who you really are. So the point that we are making, and that you're helping us make even better than we were making it, is that when you're in the vortex and you affirm these things that from your soul, source, spirit perspective it's just music to your ears. You want to turn it over and read the back side of the card. But when you're outside the vortex, demanding that you get into the vortex, it's just irritating. And that really is what we want to talk about. That's what you're getting at here. It's the trying too hard syndrome.
You've said it perfectly to everybody today, and that's exactly it. And in traffic and everything, and in life, I noticed when I was playing the same little game, I don't know, it seems like I was, birds of a feather flock together kind of thing, so you don't notice dysfunction when you're hanging out with a lot of dysfunctional folks or doing dysfunctional things. But when you're trying to be functional, if you will, then I am trying to, part of the thing is being right and being first and being the best and all that stuff, and being right and being first and being the best, being in control, all of that stuff. Judgment. I think my karmic thing, part of my little thing, was betrayal, and I know that's a big hurdle that I had to overcome in this life, was the feelings of betrayal.
Well, that's because you were looking for love in all the wrong places.
Probably.
In other words, the feeling of betrayal, this is what the feeling of betrayal is. I was born knowing that I'm good, knowing that I'm worthy, and knowing that life is supposed to be good for me. And you, whoever you are, mentor, teacher, mother, are demonstrating something different from that. And so I feel betrayed because you are training me into a thought process that doesn't feel good to me. The ultimate betrayal is not letting myself be who I really am. That is the ultimate betrayal. But it is self-inflicted. But you don't realize that it's self-inflicted because it's like having exposure to something, and as you look at it, you feel awful. And you innately know that you're supposed to feel good, and the fact that you don't feel good in this moment seems like it's that person's fault. So it feels like they've betrayed you in some way because you innately know that you're supposed to feel better. Freedom comes in realizing that you don't have to control any of those uncontrollable things. Freedom comes in recognizing that you can choose a thought that feels better.
Absolutely.
We've been talking a lot today about getting into the vortex, and what we really want to say is you all find yourself there. You just stumble in it frequently. Just because you're distracted, because you sleep, because you get drunk, because you use drugs, because you bath, because you get a massage. In other words, there's all kinds of reasons that you are in the vortex. We just want you to be aware that when you feel good, you are, and then pause for a moment and try to milk that moment for the singular purpose of practicing that in the vortex vibration and just getting a little stronger foothold. And of course, we teach a lot of things to try to move you in the direction of the vortex. And the vortex, as our friend pointed out earlier, it's not this solid place. There's not an exact door. There's not an in and out of the vortex exactly. The vortex is always moving, but it is the vibrational state of being where the larger part of you dwells. And as you recognize that it really matters how you feel, and you care more about how you feel than how right you are.
Absolutely.
Esther and Jerry have laughed about that so many times because they're both intelligent and they both have strong opinions about just about everything these days. And very often, the best revelation for Esther came as they were hooking the tow car onto the back of the monster bus, and Jerry has his style. He wants to just hook it on no matter where it is and then figure out what to do next. And Esther, who's always behind the driver's seat, knows that sometimes it's hard to get out of there with that 45-foot bus and a car behind it. She wants to take it out to a nice open space and then hook the car up. Jerry wants to hook the car up and then see how they can get out of there. He likes the adventure of it. And besides, there's a deeper issue. Jerry wants Esther to trust him, and Esther wants it to be easy. And Jerry has already paced it off, so he's pretty sure it will work. And of the hundreds of times that they've hooked the car on, there have only been a handful of times that they haven't been able to make it, and they've had to get out and unhook the car, which was no easy thing to do when it was all twisted around the corner. And so as Esther is sitting there behind, she is getting the navigational system ready to go, and she's brought the sliders in, the rooms that extend and retract, and she's warmed up the engine, and Jerry's been outside bringing the hoses in and so forth. They each have their part. And then Esther turns on the rear view camera, and she notices that the car is already hooked to the bus. And she looks ahead, and she can see that it is going to be very, very close. She barely has enough room before that fence to make her turn. And is there enough clearance? Can she get the whole bus and the car out around that picnic table and around that pole and around that corner and around that boulder? Jerry has betted yes. He bets that they can do it. He's walked it off, and it annoys him that Esther doesn't trust him. So Esther is sitting there behind the driver's seat, and she is thinking to herself, I hope we have to unhook.
Oh, no. Yes.
Because she'd rather be right than have things go well.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
And then she begins to laugh very hard, because that's as screwy as it gets. In other words, betting against yourself for the sake of rightness when the entire universe, in other words, if Esther is in the vortex and Jerry is in the vortex, there isn't anything that they cannot geometrically or in terms of physics figure out. In other words, there are all kinds of solutions that they don't have access to. And Jerry, who's already in the vortex, knows they can make it. Esther, who's not in the vortex, doesn't know that they can make it. And when you're not in the vortex, you want to play everything safe. You want to have savings. When you're not in the vortex, you want to play everything safe. You want to have prevention. You want to be guarded. But when you're in the vortex, you're in tune with all of the elements and all of the resources. In other words, the most adventurous among you. What's sort of having a tug of war within you is you are one of the most adventurous people that we have ever encountered, but you don't trust. And that is an uncomfortable combination, because you want the expansion and the adventure, but you also don't trust.
I think you're hitting a sore spot there, girl. I don't know what it is, but I feel it coming on. I feel it. Thank you. No, keep going.
So what that means is, as you spend more time in the vortex, Esther laughed when she realized that she was really rooting against their ease because she wanted to be right. And that's what has happened to so many of you. As you come into an environment where the majority of people around you are cataloging and pigeonholing everything, trying to call it right and wrong and right and wrong. Right. And then in order to gain favor or approval from them, you're jumping through all of those hoops but they want different things from you until you're all upside down and all around. You've lost your point of focus. You don't know who you are. Right. Where if you are vibrationally present, if you are emotionally present, if you understand what you now understand, that who you really are is a vivid and very loud offering vibration, and that your singular work is to align with that expanded version of you, it takes all of the guesswork out of everything to say.
Right.
As you reach the place of remembering that you are source energy in a physical body, and that source is rooting for you, source has your back, source has your front, source knows who you are, source knows not just where you're going, but source knows where you are vibrationally, and source is calling you, and when you hear the call, it always feels like relief. When you care about that, then you find yourself less and less feeling the frenzy that being out of the vortex always feels. We've been offering a game recently, and some like it and some don't. Esther adores it. Jerry doesn't play it much. But the reason that Esther likes it is called the ABC game. It is go through the alphabet and try to find an in the vortex emotion that starts with each letter of the alphabet. And so Esther chooses appreciation for A. It's easy. Some say, well, let's choose abundance, but abundance could be an out-of-the-vortex feeling if you are feeling shortage. So you want to choose the word that feels good to you when you choose it. Basking is Esther's B word. She just loves the basking. She loves the word clarity for her C word, delicious. And as she moves through, she finds many, many more words. And what she has discovered is it takes focus to find those words, and it takes focus to feel whether it's really in the vortex or whether it isn't. And energy, ease. Oh, she loves the word ease for E word, and flow for the F word, and fun for the F word. In other words, but what she's discovered mostly, it surprised her, and it will surprise you too as you play the game. You cannot play the game without distracting yourself from whatever's bothering you.
True.
You cannot play the game without going into the vortex. You cannot play the game and not go in the vortex if you'll stay there just a little while. And so sometimes after a busy day with many things on her mind, Esther will use that game to go to sleep. And what she's discovered, at first she could make it through the alphabet 2 or 3 times before she would drift off into slumber. But if she would go to sleep inside the ABC game, she always woke up in the vortex. Now, she rarely makes it past D before she's sound asleep. In other words, sometimes she's saying appreciation and barely makes it to bask before she's asleep, because her expectation of alignment has now been proven to her by her. It's easy. And this is the thing that we want you all to come to realize. We want you to realize that being in the vortex is the easiest thing in the world to do once you hang around there in a little bit and get the habit and the feeling of the vibe of it. Yes. We want you to get addicted to the feeling of the vortex. We want you to get hooked on vortex. We want you to become so familiar with the feeling of the vortex that when you have a moment that feels like that freakish frenzy, that you don't panic. Instead you say, oh, this is just an out of the vortex moment. A, appreciation. B, bask. C, clarity. You can bring yourself right back in. Really, you can. Okay. It's just a matter of focusing. And we've been offering this analogy for years and haven't found a better one. You are pure positive energy. So imagine a cork bobbing on the surface of the water. That's who you are, and that's that high-flying, good-feeling, non-resistant energy. That's where you belong. Now, you can take that cork and hold it under the water.
Right.
That's what negative emotion is. But when you let go of it, it's going to bob right back to the surface. And so the point of that powerful analogy is you don't have to work to be in the vortex. You just have to stop clinging to the vibration that prevents you from going easily.
Correct.
You see, if the vortex didn't exist, you'd never feel tension. If you hadn't expanded, you wouldn't feel the tension of not going. Life caused you to expand, and it's the not going that is the reason for every negative emotion or every negative condition or every ache and pain or illness that you ever experience. And so the good news, whenever you feel freaked out or whenever you feel pain, the good news is there's a whole lot of expansion that's taken place. You're just not going. That's the really, really good news. The other really, really good news is it's not hard to go. The other really, really good news is just stop doing that thing you're doing that's keeping you from going. And the other really, really good news is it's easy to stop beating those drums. Just decide that you're going to complain a lot less and praise a lot more, that you're going to look for positive aspects more often than negative aspects, that you're going to laugh and have fun and smile rather than get all serious about things, that you decide that you're going to be free rather than just decide. You have all of the power in your decision. Decide how you feel about everything. You could decide right now, this guy's been in the chair way too long. Some of you are thinking that. But you could...
I'm thinking that, but I'm sitting here and I'm enjoying...
But you could decide he wouldn't be there if Abraham didn't find value in it. And he wouldn't be there if there was not more good stuff to get. And there have been many things that have come up that I didn't understand before he sat in the chair. And I'm in a better place of understanding all of this as a result of him having been in the chair. You see what we're getting at? You can decide to feel good or you can decide to feel bad. And every single moment gives you those options. You can feel better or you can feel worse. Those are the two emotional choices that you have all day, every day. And if the emotional emotional choice that you're making is to feel better rather than worse, better rather than worse, better than rather than worse, before you know it, you'll find yourself on the doorstep of the vortex, and it will take you in and show you good stuff and make a believer of you. It will.
Yes, it will.